Warm greetings, dear viewers, and welcome to this cozy corner where moving images turn into meaning and gossip becomes an art form. Welcome, once again, to the universe of Turkish spotlight secrets. In an age where scenes rush past our eyes like waves on a fast tide, every so often a moment lands that stops time itself, a moment when the screen feels less like glass and more like a window breathing the same air we do. Tonight, we open that window together and let in a gust of elegance, tension, and unfiltered feeling. Before we dive into the heartbeat of this sensation, make sure you're subscribed to Turkish Spotlight Secrets, ring that bell so you never miss a spark, and if you cherish this style of passionate analysis, consider pressing join to support us directly and keep this flame alive. Because what we're unraveling now is the dance that has set an entire fandom on fire. Across television landscapes crowded with noise, one scene emerged like a lighthouse, clean and unmistakable in the fog. It wasn't filler. It wasn't flourish. It was the kind of encounter that reminds you why cameras were invented in the first place. We're talking, of course, about that dance, Barış Arduç and Elçin Sangu stepping into a charged orbit that turned a routine sequence into a full-blown event. No one expected the ground to shift like this, yet it did, and the aftershocks are still turning up in comments, edits, and late-night conversations that can't quite find closure. Look closely and you'll see it wasn't merely choreography. It was gravity. The music curled around them like a secret, and the camera kept its respectful distance, circling, as though even the lens felt shy to intrude. Elçin, radiant and deliberate, held an elegance that refused to be fragile. The strength in her stillness said more than a monologue ever could. Barış met her with that quiet, smoldering energy that he wears like cologne, present, invisible, unavoidable. Together, they created a pressure in the air, a storm that never broke but left everyone soaked in feeling. You could sense the room holding its breath as their eyes traded meanings, as if each glance was a brushstroke painting a story that needed no subtitles. Comments flooded feeds faster than the scene could end. People whispered through their keyboards that the screen had grown too small for what it was holding. Phrases like incandescent and impossible to replicate sprouted everywhere, and even the cynical accounts, the ones that never miss a chance to be unimpressed, were suddenly finding themselves in agreement. The consensus felt strange and rare. This was the purest, cleanest ripple of chemistry many had seen in years. And still, the surface hadn't been scratched, because behind those minutes of magic lived weeks of discipline. We're told the spontaneity viewers adore was earned the hard way. Barış and Elçin didn't just show up and sway, they trained like athletes of emotion. A team of top-tier coaches helped distill every movement down to intention. Rehearsals stretched late, pushed early, and repeated until the body forgot the steps and remembered only the feeling. They chased a precision that could disappear into grace. Every pause learned patience. Every turn respected silence. And every approach asked the question the scene couldn't say out loud: what do two people reveal when they stop performing and simply exist together? Whispers from the set describe a hush like the moment before a confession. The floor lights dimmed into worship, and the director, sharp enough to recognize he was witnessing something fragile and necessary, kept his touch soft. It wasn't absence, it was trust. A few adjustments, a nod here, a breath there, and the actors did the rest. By the time the music released them, the crew, those veterans of Sparkle who've seen everything twice, forgot their poker faces and applauded without waiting for permission. The applause didn't chase a trophy, it saluted truth. In the wake of that night, the show itself felt different. Rumors began threading through production corridors. The scene hadn't just raised a bar. It had rewritten the ceiling. There's talk that the tone of the episodes to come will lean into heat, courage, and the kind of vulnerability viewers rewatch to make sure they weren't imagining it. Those whispers also speak of careers bending toward new horizons. Elçin, with that fierce poise, appeared to claim a facet of her artistry that many suspected but had rarely seen so nakedly. Barış took the charm everyone already credits him for and set it on a deeper register, one that murmurs long after the music fades. So we ask the question at the center of every heart-thumping performance: where does craft end and feeling begin? Is this just professionalism at its most polished, Or did something more mercurial slip through, the alignment of two artistic orbits at exactly the right second in time? When the scene landed, it didn't feel acted, it felt caught. And when a moment feels caught, viewers start wondering if it might break free of fiction altogether. Tell us what you think in the comments. Turkish Spotlight Secrets lives for your theories, your romantic conspiracy charts, your analyses that turn seconds into essays. And if you want to keep the lights warm in this studio of ideas, super thanks is our way of shaking hands through the screen. What happened next was not the usual fade into the scroll. Instead, the scene kept blooming. Programs paused their usual gossip segments to study this one in slow motion. Analysts leaned in on micro-expressions, how a blink can carry a memory, how a smile can refuse to be polite and decide to be honest. Observers wrote about sincerity, that most stubborn quality, the one you cannot fake or force. They said the sequence didn't read like obedience to direction, it felt like an impulse caught just before it disappeared. Online, the couple's names nodded together in trending threads. Fans spun comparisons to earlier work, crafting side-by-sides to argue that this marked a pivot into something finer and bolder. The edits grew more daring, filters pulled away shadows to highlight the way their shoulders angled closer with each beat, captions attempted to translate what was true without words. For many, this was not an episode highlight. It was a flag planted on a hill that both have climbed for years. And then the international chatter arrived. The dance crossed languages the way a melody does, and casting offices in far-off time zones began sending their glances east. It said that Elçin's phones are now ringing with offers varnished in adjectives like riskier and complex, roles that talk less and mean more. Meanwhile, Barış's file is rumored to be slipping into stacks tagged ambitious, rich in psychology, the kind of projects that need a heartbeat that can carry weight without shouting. No one is surprised, everyone is curious. We would be remiss not to praise the scene's visual and musical grammar. The choreography told a story that believed in the audience's intelligence, and the music laced itself through their movement like a promise whispered at the right time. Cinematic, grand, and careful, those were the words people kept using, noting that this kind of meticulous crafting usually belongs to films with long schedules and long budgets. To find it threaded into a weekly series felt like discovering a secret aria hidden inside a pop chorus. Industry sources, in that casual tone that masks excitement, insist that both Barış and Elçin have seen a measurable spike in scripts and invitations since the episode aired. And viewers, sharp, intuitive, delightfully nosy, predict that the afterglow of this dance will stain the narrative for weeks to come. Choices will tilt. Conflicts will find new teeth. Reconciliations will take longer, then land harder. The dance, they say, was a declaration, a challenge to the ordinary, a reminder that television can still do something both intimate and big at the same time. Let's not pretend this is only about steps and glances. What held us was recognition. They reminded us of the storm that lives between restraint and desire, of how two people can stand inches apart and build a cathedral out of that thin slice of air. It's why fans were left a little quiet after the credits, the kind of quiet that follows a confession even if no one said a word. Barış and Elçin didn't simply entertain. They moved the furniture of our expectations, rearranging what we think a scene can carry. So is this the opening chapter of a legendary duo's next era, the kind of partnership that gets cited in future masterclasses and midnight debates? Time will keep its secrets, as it always does. But the print of that night is not fading. It lingers the way perfume does hours after a door closes. It hides in playlists. It peeks out from paused frames. And somewhere, we suspect, it has already convinced a writer to risk a bigger moment, a director to cut one more time for silence, a producer to believe in a rehearsal that runs late. Before we say goodnight, Turkish Spotlight Secrets family, lend us your imagination. Whose stars should we place under this magnifying glass next? Which pairs make your pulse jump the way Barış and Elçin just did? Drop your suggestions, your dream combinations, your meticulously argued cases. We read every single one because this channel breathes with you. If you haven't yet, subscribe, tap that bell so the next spark finds you fast, and share this video so more eyes can catch what you caught. And for those who want to go the extra mile to power our research and editing, the join button and the super thanks option are waiting like open doors. Until the next heartbeat, keep looking for beauty in small corners and grand gestures, and as always, this is Turkish Spotlight Secrets, where the scene doesn't end when the screen goes dark, it just moves into your memory and refuses to leave.